go ahead and open up for questions.
Ryan, what do you when you watched the film against Minnesota? What'd you like? What'd you think of it?
You know, I thought our guys played hard. You know, the totality of the game. What I liked was turning on the tape and seeing 45 plays being ran out there. You know, so kudos to Coach Lunny and the offense for maintaining possession of the ball. You know, Minnesota posed a challenge just with their running back. He was a good physical player, hard to bring down, like we had talked about all week. And so all it took was, you know, a guy out of gap here, a guy out of gap there, or a missed tackle, and he was able to get some chunk yardage plays. I think we gave up 3 explosives on the day. But other than really those 3 plays, you know, it was pretty sound, pretty competitive. Anytime you're playing an RPO team and, you know, you allow 38 yards passing and 3 interceptions, like it's pretty special. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say it's not. You know what I mean? Those are numbers that I think people are starting to pay attention to, and it's because, you know, we got good players that prepare and execute on a consistent basis, and those guys have fun playing with each other, and that is fun to see. You know, there was a clip of Quan's interception, and like on the film copy, our video guy follows him from this sideline all the way to our sideline, and just to see the celebration with the guys together, you know, through that entire clip, it's fun from my perspective to see, you know, those guys executing and having fun doing so.
Coach, it seems like a defensive backs their talent is really maximized in this scheme. What do you think it is about that? I mean, you had with Kirby last year, Quan and Devin this year. Is there something about the scheme that brings out the most in them? You
know, obviously, like, our job as coaches is to put guys in positions to make plays and to play free and to not second guess themselves. So I do think there is something that we have tapped into that allows them to do so. But at the same time, like, we have good players. Like, you know, I'm not going to ignore that fact. Like, we got guys that I feel like would start at a lot of different places and would be playing at a high level at a lot of different places. I think that we have done a good job of putting them in positions to maximize some of their strengths. And then our guys have done a really, really good job of studying offenses and anticipating what's coming. Like, it is a lot easier to cover a slant when you know the slant is coming. And so, you know, I've been saying all year, like, our guys really take pride in and understand the value of film study and preparation throughout the week. You know, Coach B's schedule is set up so that our guys are prepared both physically and mentally going into game days, and all those things sort of coincide with being able to have success on Saturdays. And I think it's just a result of that.
How does pre-snap movement and disguising coverages play into that?
I mean, it's key. You know, obviously, like, you turn on our tape and you know, we look the same pre-snap almost every snap, and I think that poses problems for offenses. You just don't. There's no tellers there on where we're going to get to once the ball is snapped, and our guys are taking pride in that as well. And you know, the cat and mouse game, the chess game that's being played out there. I think they're understanding that, and when they do confuse a quarterback, like they celebrate it, and you know, our guys up front are doing an awesome job of reading running pass keys and transitioning from you know what my run blocking technique is, and transitioning into pass rush. You know we are getting sacks, but we're also pressuring and rushing the quarterback a ton. And that obviously helps the back end, right? Like, my favorite players on the field are the guys up front, because when they do their job efficiently, like, it is easy to do the job in the back end. So, you know, the team pass defense right now, like, it is a team effort. I know that the secondary kind of gets the kudos, but you know, the pressure that is being put on the quarterback and getting them to speed up their timing is all direct reflection of the guys up front.
You had the sack on Saturday, kind of that chase down of Cameron Morgan on 3rd down. I guess maybe it's a stupid question of what does he do that allows himself to have such an impact? I mean, this defense as a freshman maybe some guys take. Obviously, physically,
Yeah, I think Gabe walks in the door and you don't know he's a freshman. You know what I mean? Like there have been times where scouts will be out at practice and they're like, "Well, who is that kid?" I'm like, "You got to wait a while." But Coach Gaines also done a great job of catching him up to speed in terms of the scheme, and I think Seth has done an awesome job taking him under his wing and showing him what it means to prepare and to put in extra time. And he's got God-given ability. Like that wasn't even his play to make on the chase down. That we had a bust in one of our line games, and so the quarterback, we had lost contain in terms of our pass rush, and Gabe ran him down. Obviously he's a physical player, and he's only tapping into his potential, and I know that I'm happy he's here, and I know that the Illini faithful are definitely happy he's here as well.
Team's built quite a reputation for physicality, play with the defense, besides the obvious of tackling. What does that reputation do for you, the impact, the advantage it has?
It was interesting watching Coach Fleck's presser before the game, and he talked about how like you watch the tape and they beat people up, and so I think people are paying attention to that. You turn on the tape and guys are inviting contact, they're seeking out contact. When they get there with an attitude, and it is a race to get to the football. And so it's, you watch it on offense, and you're going to have to strap up your chin strap. You're going to have to make contested catches, and you're going to have to absorb contact if you are a ball carrier. And I think that's just the way that defense is supposed to be played. You have pads for a reason. This is a physical game in its nature. And I just think we've got a group of guys that invite that physicality, they embrace that physicality, and that is a part of the game that they enjoy.
Brian, obviously you had success last year defensively, Kirby getting drafted, but now that you have more guys with NFL, all these numbers you guys are putting up and wins, how does that impact what you do on the trail, what you can say on the trail?
Yeah, there are a couple safeties out there that we're recruiting, and it is nice to be able to point out the fact that my last year at Missouri, both of my safeties got drafted. Last year you had a guy that played safety for a year and got drafted in the, was it the second round? Right, third, at the top of the, or yeah, that's right, it's the third round. And this year, like with the way Kendall's playing as well, it's a lot of guys being drafted. And I think it's a combination of one, having enough talent to do so, and then two, embracing the scheme and understanding what we're trying to get done, and with the technique and the things that are being taught, and three, just going out and executing and making plays. So it's easy to see guys playing well. So yeah, that is definitely a pitch on the recruiting trail.
What is it about that free safety spot? Is it just he's the guy that can roam? What is it about that where you guys have had so much success with multiple guys now?
Yeah, I think the way the way we're structured, like teams try to take shots down the field, and when you got a guy sitting back there, at almost 20 yards at times, like it's hard to get the ball down there. And if you study quarterbacks and you study route concepts and study who deep ball targets are, as long as you study, then you should be able to be successful on game days. And like I said, this group studies more than any other group I've been part of.
Ryan, Johnny Newton has kind of said before when the coaching staff transition happened, he wasn't sure how he was going to fit in a 3-4 scheme and in a new scheme. How have you seen him kind of adapt as a player to a new scheme and a new way of playing?
He's been awesome, and I would agree with him in it is hard to put like a thumb on exactly what we are defensively, because it's not really a 3-4, and it's not really Bear. It's like it's Illinois' defense, right? And so, usually in a 3-4, I can get double teamed a lot. It is hard to rush the passer out of a traditional 3-4 as a 4-eye. But I think once he understood the complexities of the alignments and what type of blocks he was going to see from an offensive line perspective, and then coupled with Coach Jameson's toolbox in terms of techniques that he's able to use, he has flourished. Like he really has flourished. He's embraced it. He's another guy that puts in overtime and works on his craft. And another guy that embraces the physicality of the game, and you know, his numbers are what they are because he's embraced it, and because of the type of guy he is, and you know, I think he'll continue to improve as the season goes.
Tariq, the last couple games he's had a lot of moments where he's almost kind of jumped the snap. What is his football IQ kind of brought to this side of the ball?
Yeah, I mean, again, like, you know, the film prep and the studying and the recall in games to like be able to adjust to what's going on. Like, you know, for instance, Minnesota's snap cadence is a lot different than the teams that we've played. And early on, you could see like where we were ready to go, but the ball wasn't quite snapped yet, and then the ball was snapped. And so their ability to adjust to what is going on throughout the course of the game has been awesome. I think that's also why, you know, we play well in the second half with our halftime adjustments, and guys are starting to understand what is going on in front of them from an offensive perspective. And Tariq is a prime example of that in terms of you know, being able to jump snap counts, you know, being able to call out what kind of run plays he thinks we're going to get, and then being able to relay that information on the sideline. You know, there's a lot of dialogue between, you know, staff and players on what they're saying and what the players think will work, right? Like, they're out there, and so they've got a better understanding of exactly how things are being blocked, or exactly who we should be trying to target in a line game. And so that understanding schematically of both from, you know, the staff and from the players is huge in terms of our ability to adjust in games.
You kind of talked about not being able to put down one necessarily your scheme where you guys just went. So how did you guys kind of land on that scheme when you got here and kind of developed that with the coaching staff?
You know, it's like it's still a work in progress as we speak. There are always things that we're like tweaking, and you know, again, if you just fundamentally, if you think about what you're trying to do to an offense, like, you want to be able to line up quick, you want to be able to stop the run and present a box that is not favorable in terms of numbers. You want to limit explosive plays, and you want to confuse the quarterback and be sound, and that's what we're trying to do from a staff standpoint, with the idea of how can we put our guys in positions that match their skill set and accentuate their strengths. And so that is why we've came to kind of what we're doing, and why we're building off of the structure.
This might be a stupid question, but given that you guys kind of built this from scratch, had players that maybe you didn't recruit, how fun is it to see that succeed?
Yeah, it's a blast. Because, you know, everything looks good on the board, you know, but when it's played out in real time and you see the guys on the field executing and communicating and playing fast and having fun, like, that is fun. Like, game days are fun, and you know, this profession can be stressful at times, and there's a lot of pressure on, you know, 12 days out of the year, and so, like, the ability to have fun while you're in those pressure situations is something we definitely don't take for granted.
Some off weeks, so kind of another stupid question. Your pregame, you do a lot of walking around the field. So, like, a superstition there? Like, what do you hope to accomplish? Or
No,
what does that do for you?
Allows me to release energy. You know, like, I'm a competitive person, and, you know, I wake up Saturdays and it feels like I'm about to put on pads, and there has to be some sort of physical relief. And so that's just kind of been my routine. Pre-game is just to kind of walk around, you know, soak up the environment, you know, listen to the music that's playing, and get ready to try and clear my mind and be as sharp and as quick and as strategically aggressive as I can be for the guys on game day.
How do you handle self-scouting during a bye week? Is it as simple as getting the coaches together going, if you had to play us, how would you beat us?
It's a little more complex than that. You know, different coaches focus on different areas, but, you know, what I do is I try to see if we are giving tells out there about what we're doing post snap, and if so, like why. And you know, I know Coach Boo has studied in depth every run that has been ran on us, and the things that are working, why they're working, and the things that we've got beaten on, like why are we getting beat on them, and what we can do to adjust. And so that's why it's forever changing and forever evolving, and hopefully you know, continue to get better and more difficult for offenses.
I know you'll be focused on Nebraska, but when you look at these remaining 5 games, is there a common denominator with these 5 offenses, and are some keys that you have to, some things that you have to do well to compete in those games?
Like you said, man, I am solely focused on Nebraska right now. I can't, just the way my mind works, I can't even think about thinking ahead, you know. Nebraska's going to pose a difficult challenge. I've been in locker rooms where we've had a mid-season coaching change. I know how scary and how dangerous that locker room can be. So we got to make sure that we're locked in and focused on Nebraska, both players and coaches alike. You know, obviously everybody knows what's out there for us in terms of what could happen at the end of this regular season. But in order for those things to come to fruition, we got to take all of our energy and focus on Nebraska.
Does it feel like, how much, if at all, do you feel like you need to add to defense in the latter part in terms of scheme, plays, if you will, concepts, or is it more about just executing what you do?
I think that just depends on the game plan and who our opponent is. You know, there are games where we don't add anything because of the type of offense we're seeing, or because of the matchups that we think are favorable. And there's other games where we've added a bunch, and that is solely a week-to-week basis. You know, decision on our staff's part on what we feel like is going to give us the best chance for success on game day.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.
Yep.